Putin wanted to escape sanctions, and he achieved his goal. Trump wanted to look Putin in the eye, and he achieved the goal. He also wanted to have a ceasefire, and it was a failure. And Ukraine, in all this negotiation, got nothing.
Joining me on the line from Kyiv is one of Ukraine's most prominent politicians, Rudik, from the liberal opposition slate Holos. Kira, thanks so much for joining me this morning. What is the view in Ukraine generally amongst the people, but also amongst the politicians, about this this kind of summit non-event?
Hello, and thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
Look, what was the goal of all the parties? Putin wanted to escape sanctions, and he achieved his goal. Trump wanted to look Putin in the eye, and he achieved the goal. He also wanted to have a ceasefire, and it was a failure. And Ukraine, in all this negotiation, got nothing as of right now. This is why the situation on the ground is very skeptical, especially given the red carpet greeting that Russian dictator was getting from President of the United States. You know, when I was watching those videos, I was just thinking about all the friends and loved ones whom Putin and his forces killed over the last 3.5 years. And it was indeed very painful. Because right now, even if you don't care about Ukraine, you need to understand that all the other dictators in the world are watching this, and they understand that they can launch a full-scale invasion, go ahead, commit all kinds of the war crimes, and then if the situation is right, they will be invited to shake hands with the American president and go on to the mutual press conference where they will say that they hope that the European partners and Ukraine will not stand on the way of peace.
Yeah, I mean, the really horrible thing was that as Vladimir Putin was being given that red carpet treatment with Sergei Lavrov in his USSR sweatshirt, that as that was happening at that very moment, Russia stepped up its bombardment of Ukraine and more people were dying. That surely was a message from Putin to the world, to Trump, and to Ukraine, wasn't it?
It was, and in fact, it is not the first time when he is acting this way. I want to remind you that after the last call that President Trump had with Putin on July 4th, Putin launched the most massive attack on Kyiv, killing dozens of people and destroying here again so many buildings. And this was a public humiliation of American president, and it was a part of the strategy, and Russians don't even intend to hide it, right? Same as they were never shy about saying they want to rebuild Soviet Union. And one of the ways of showing it that they mean business was Sergei Lavrov showing up in the hoodie. Again, these are the people who were acknowledged by the International Criminal Court as criminals. And the United States is a very rare country where they can actually travel without the threat of being arrested.
Yeah, but I wonder as well, viewed from Ukraine, whether you think the rest of the West is doing enough, and what sort of security guarantees do you think Ukraine needs from, for example, Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, and indeed the Germans and other countries in Europe, in order to protect yourselves from future Russian attacks, should anything come about that looks remotely like a ceasefire?
So Coalition of the Willing, so-called, actually did a very good thing by calling President Trump before this meeting, where we think there was a shift in the perception that President Trump can make any deal about Ukraine without Ukraine.
Yeah.
And we are grateful to the partners who were very firm on the statement saying, look, this is exactly what you cannot do. And this is why President Zelensky is traveling to Washington, D.C. and will be meeting with President Trump on Monday. So this is the good thing. About the security guarantees, I think there is evolution of understanding that Ukraine needs to be armed to the teeth so we will be able to protect ourselves rather than having like international courts here or having some military alliances. Because at the end, we know that politicians change There are different political situations in all the countries, and we cannot rely on the position of any future president or prime minister. So for us, the best security guarantee would be to be a strong country ourselves. And this is totally achievable. And we think that this would be the best and perhaps the safest way for everyone to move forward. However, there are other options, and we are ready to discuss them. President Trump already said that Ukraine is not going to join NATO or not going to receive security guarantees from NATO, but it could be some mix and match.
Yeah.
And again, whatever will make sure that Putin would not attack us again, whatever is workable.
So actually, you're kind of ruling out what has been suggested, which is that British, French, German troops might be on the ground in Ukraine in some way, even if they're not actually on the front line.
Well, the question remains again the following. If you bring in the international troops here, what will happen if, God forbid, Russian missile or Russian drone will kill an international soldier? And we know that that would happen because Russia is, this is something they're very good at provocations of this level. And so then we will get into even worse situation. And I think you need to be sure what will happen if this incident will arise before you're sending the troops here. And in fact, we never have asked for the international troops. We are always asking for more weapons and supplies so we can defend ourselves.
Yes, indeed. Now, I mean, Volodymyr Zelensky has his own problems domestically and has been under some fire domestically as well. You are the leader of Holos, an opposition party in Ukraine. What's your opinion on the job he's doing right now?
So look, before the full-scale invasion, I was very vocal about what President Zelensky could have done differently. But since the war has started, we are trying to work as a team because we cannot have elections. We cannot replace him right now. And making sure that he has and criticizing him and decreasing his rating is not doing anybody any good. However, he has made some mistakes, especially in the attack of the anti-corruption organs with his party. Fortunately, we were able to reverse this back. But we just hope that he learns this lesson and will not be repeating such attempts in the future.
And what advice would you give him when he sets off to Washington on Monday to meet with Trump? What is the bottom line that he must demand from President Trump?
That in Ukraine, we are same people that we were in 2022. People who declined and disagreed to capitulate. And we are not going to capitulate right now. Probably the worst thing that could happen is that this war goes on to our kids, to the next generation. We need to make sure that whatever is agreed is a stable peace that could go long for decades at least. And this is a very tough and complicated goal to achieve, especially that everybody's talking right now about how to stop Russia. But if the deal is unfair, it will be impossible to sell here in Ukraine. We have about 1 million people in the army. We have the majority of the families who have somebody serving, and Ukraine is democracy. And we have shown with the recent events when people were unhappy with President Zelensky that it's not that he can come in and say whatever he likes or whatever has been agreed and everybody will accept that. People here have their own voice, have their own vision, and have paid an ultimate price to be where we are right now. So it needs to be a fair deal for Ukraine.
Kira, thanks. And while you're still there, a couple of messages have come in from our listeners. Catherine says, I'd like to register my immense admiration for Kira, who is such a brilliant ambassador for her country, a wonderful communicator and tireless in her work. And Amanda says, just give Ukraine the money and let Ukraine win. So you do have support out there, Kira.
Oh, thank you. You are too kind. And I just want to say on behalf of Ukrainian people how grateful we are for all the support that we are receiving. And especially in Britain, whenever I come and talk to someone, nobody ever told me, oh, we are not supporting you. It was always warm and really, really supportive in all the ways and all the terms. And about the money, I want to finish with it because it should not be your money, the taxpayers' money of the good people who are supporting Ukraine. We need to go ahead and confiscate Russian money. And the United Kingdom still holds on to billions of Russian assets that are being stored, they are being frozen, but they have not been released to be used to buy weapons for Ukraine.
Right. Good advice. Thank you ever so much. Thanks, Kira, and hope to talk to you again in the near future.